So we're about to jump into a very special episode. I actually have my friend from the Nootropic Republic on, where he's going to be talking about his top 5 favorite supplements. And guys, you definitely do not want to miss this list. As always, none of this is medical advice. Please always do your research before taking anything and putting anything into your body. So we are here with Amon from Nootropic Republic. He's a fantastic, very knowledgeable person. So, guys, if you like my content, if you like supplements, then you will definitely love his content. So definitely do check him out. And in fact, if you want to know my top 5 nootropics list, then hop on over to his channel, because on his channel, we're going to be doing something very similar to what you're seeing here, but I'm going to be the one mostly talking. I'm going to be going over my top 5 best nootropic supplements. So hop on over to his channel to check that out. And right now, he is going to jump into kind of his top 5 favorite nootropic supplements, because he's tried a lot. He's actually probably tried more than I have. So I'm excited to hear what he has to say on all of these. So with that, I'll hand over the mic and.
Yeah, thank you for the kind intro. Yeah, absolutely. So I'd say probably for the past year or so, I've spent like thousands and thousands of dollars on nootropics, thousands of hours of my time experimenting with nootropics, finding what really works for me. Nootropic is basically anything that enhances cognition, supplement wise, that type of thing. And so I would say for me, after experimenting a lot with nootropics, I would say my top 5 nootropics would be Aniracetam, NMN, it would be NAC, Theacrine, and Shilajit. So the first one I would talk about is Aniracetam. So Aniracetam is a racetam, which is a group of synthetic drugs created in the 1970s that have been proven safe and been proven to enhance cognition. The reason I like Aniracetam so much is it's so good for socializing. Like, it's so good for like telling stories, presentations, hanging out with people, going on dates, anything like that. It really just like, it socially lubricates you, for lack of a better word, where it's easier to tell stories and it's easier to talk to people. Like for me, like I'm naturally an extroverted person, except I found an Aniracetam makes me more extroverted, where like I want to talk to people. Like I'm in like, I'll take it, and I'm in a supermarket and I want to talk to people. I want to give them compliments and I want to really engage with them and stuff like that. I would say it's probably the best like social nootropic that there is out there if you respond well to it. Not everyone does. Aniracetam is also good for like memory and learning. Like I notice like when I take it, my thoughts are more quiet in my head and I can just hone in and do something. It's really good for physical activity and sports or anything like that. So for me, like I play college sports, so I play pretty high level soccer. And I noticed that when I take Aniracetam, it's really good for me playing clutch, and it's really good for my physical movements as well. So like my techniques in soccer is better when I take it, just because it increases acetylcholine, and acetylcholine is very responsible for muscle functions, that type of thing. So Aniracetam, really good. It's like a mild stimulant, if that. It increases GABA, dopamine, serotonin. It increases acetylcholine release by about like 200 to 300%. There's a few other actions as well. It's been proven safe. It's probably like, honestly, it's probably like my favorite nootropic. I've been taking it probably like 5 days a week, give or take 3-4 times a week for the last like year or so. I've noticed it's made a tremendous impact on my life. I noticed that it really helps me like eliminate social anxiety and just be there in the moment, which is a beautiful thing. And so I would say that would be the first one that I would say. Now I take a drink of
Yeah,
water.
no, that's great. Like the racetams I've been
Yeah.
hearing about for so long now. Every like aniracetam, I know there's a lot in that family, and people just swear by that nootropic so much. I know I believe it's a big favorite of even people like Dave Asprey.
Yeah.
So it's definitely one that I'm personally excited to try out, because I got a little sneak peek at his list, and this one I'm definitely going to be trying out.
Yeah, it can honestly be a game changer for a lot of people. Like even some of my friends that, you know, they struggle with like ADHD and attention issues and stuff like that. they take some racetams and they honestly don't have the same issue. They can focus and actually pay attention, because a lot of the racetams are very similar to pharmaceuticals in like a lot safer way. Like just a quick example is called phenylpiracetam, which is probably the most stimulant-like racetam. It works very similarly to like Adderall or Concerta, where it's like a DRI. So it's a dopamine reuptake inhibitor. It basically just increases the level of dopamine, but it doesn't give you anxiety. So basically you get the focus that you would get from those like pharmaceuticals, but you get it without the anxiety, which is an amazing thing, because a lot of times with that type of stuff like Adderall, Concerta, it just makes you hella anxious. So it's good. And plus with something like phenylpiracetam, does it with a lot less side effects as well. So it can be a really big game-changing solution for a lot of people. And then I would say the second one would be nicotinamide mononucleotide. If I butcher that, please forgive me. It is a big word, as they say. I would say for me, that is one of the best nootropics and supplements for good, clean, natural energy, where like I'm a young guy, so I'm 22, except I can take something like NMN, and it just gives me such good social energy where, you know, I laugh more, and it's more of a genuine laugh. You know, I can take it and be stimulated by it during the day, but it improves sleep quality as well. So it's a stimulant, something like caffeine, except it improves your sleep quality. So that's pretty crazy. I notice on it, I'm just not as in my head as much. I'm more just free flow to, you know, what I'm saying when I'm talking to people and stuff like that. I notice with it, I'm not as stressed as well. So it energizes me, except it lowers my stress as well, which is a really nice thing. And probably the biggest thing I noticed from it is just the mood boosting effect from it. So I noticed really acute effects from it, except NMN is something that's touted as the next big longevity supplement, nootropic. Everyone's going to hear a lot more about it in the years to come, except you can definitely get a lot of acute effects from it. And the brand that I would recommend would be the Nootropics Depot version, just because, in my opinion, they have the best quality and have got such good effects from it, where I can take it and I'm just an energizer bunny the entire day that just loves people, and it's just like I'm just in very good mood. And it can be a really good game changer for people that struggle with like motivation, lethargy, people that struggle with like mood problems, that type of thing. You can notice a really good benefit from it. And you've had experience with NMN too.
Yeah, so as I mentioned in my video about NMN, it's one of the few supplements that my mom is legitimately excited and have asked me to buy more of. All the other ones, I'm like, no, mom, you have to take your vitamins. You have to take your vitamins. Whereas NMN is one of those like, so when are we going to get more? When are we going to get more? Just because it was so beneficial for them. I think, especially people like on the kind of 30 plus side, they're going to have huge benefits. But even people our age, like I got a lot of benefits from it. You mentioned you got a lot of benefits from it. And I think one of the big reasons why it does that is because it boosts your NAD levels, and your NAD does not get enough attention. But ever since Lifespan by David Sinclair, which I'm sure you've read, that one he just really said that NAD is just such a huge thing for both your energy, because your mitochondria use it all over the place. It basically is the thing that helps them function really well. It's also a big functioning in your DNA repair. So just in general, it's one of my top supplements as well. So
yeah, great minds think alike for sure. Yeah, honestly, guys, it can be really good nootropic to try out. The third one I would say would be NAC, N-acetylcysteine. NAC is something that is naturally produced in your body, except only in small amounts. It converts to glutathione in the body and brain. Glutathione is one of the most powerful antioxidants in the brain. The body has a lot of very powerful actions where it can reduce neuroinflammation. It is clinical evidence for reducing a lot of symptoms from a lot of neuro disorders, things like bipolar, ADHD, schizophrenia. NAC can be, honestly, people swear by NAC. Like if you guys are curious, just go on Reddit and Google NAC and you'll see NAC changed my life. NAC was magical. Because it honestly is that powerful. Like people give NAC, hospitals give NAC to patients over the counter that are suffering from like overdoses and stuff like that, just to like, you know, show its efficacy. You know, it is something that is naturally produced, but it can be so beneficial. And I noticed for me, like when I take it, I would say it's probably the best thing to take if you take like an ADHD stimulant, anything like that. You take some like Adderall Concerta, because NAC can come in and it can be neuroprotective towards the dopamine neurons, and it can help reduce the effects of anxiety. It can enhance the effects of, you know, the medication, because it tames glutamate overstimulation. Is that and it can help tame some of the effects of the medication, because it can help regulate glutamate and stuff like that. And it can make the medication more effective, and it can decrease the anxiety from it as well. And I just want to say, I'm not a doctor. This is just my personal experience, just a little, some bro science out there. And I noticed when I take NAC, not everyone responds to NAC. Like people respond to nootropics very differently, and NAC is one of those too, where a lot of people, they'll take NAC and experience nothing. And a lot of people will take NAC and experience really good effects. For me, like I just noticed that like it's good for energy. It's really good for work ethic. It's good for focus. It's good for my mood. I feel like I'm funnier on NAC. It's good for, you know, just being more at ease, like where I am in the moment, being more content and stuff like that. NAC is very powerful, and it's such a powerful antioxidant that you should be careful with it when you're doing physical activity, because it is such a good antioxidant that it can help fight the oxidative stress that physical activity does a bit too much. So if you are doing anything like that, any physical activity, you want to pair it away like pretty far from taking NAC. I guess it's just like any antioxidant, like you don't want to take them too much after physical activity, because it can impair your physical recovery, that type of thing. Except NAC can be a game changer for a lot of people, and it can help a lot of things. And do you have any experience with NAC?
I don't. This is actually one that I haven't really even heard about, but it's definitely exciting. Anything with antioxidants is just so good. Like you basically don't want to rust, which is essentially what oxidative stress does in your body. And just to kind of touch on how you don't want to take antioxidants after a workout, that's mainly because you're just not going to have as much gains from it, because essentially when you're working out, you're stressing your muscles, and that will stimulate them to grow more, and that will stimulate them to develop and to make sure, hey, this stress came, I don't want this stress to come again, and so we really want to make sure that we build up for next time. But if you actually take antioxidants, which by the way vitamin C is, I generally speaking don't recommend people to take vitamin C after a workout or even before a workout, because that will essentially take that stress down, and then your muscles won't freak out as much, and then they won't grow and develop quite as much as they could. So this is definitely something that people do potentially want to be watching out for.
Yeah, it's a really good point. I take vitamin C like after my workouts quite a bit, so I'll stop that now.
Yeah,
Thanks for the info.
Yeah, that's actually something that I've heard several times now. So I basically, on days that I work out, I generally speaking don't take vitamin C, at least within a couple hours of before and after working out. But definitely you do want to take vitamin C. Vitamin C is a good vitamin to take.
Especially right now with a little pandemic causing virus going on.
Yeah.
Cough, cough. The next nootropic that I would talk about is called Theacrine. Theacrine is something that is really safe, and it is very effective as well. Basically what it is it is a compound similar to caffeine, except different at the same time. And it's something that pairs really well with caffeine, where it basically makes the effects of caffeine last longer. So usually like caffeine might last like 2 to 3 hours. With Theacrine, it lasts around like 6 to 8 hours, and the effects are more mild. Theacrine is a very interesting substance where it doesn't impact your cardiovascular system. So it can boost energy, boost mental focus, alertness, mood, all that type of stuff, but it doesn't increase anxiety, which is a pretty crazy thing. Because like obviously caffeine, coffee, the way it works is it does give you a little bit of anxiety as a side effect. So pairing that with Theacrine can be a really good game changer. And Theacrine, the way that it works is it increases dopamine in the system, and it is actions for that. So I noticed when I take Theacrine, honestly, like I've taken a lot of nootropics, and I would say the best thing I've noticed for memory is like Theacrine, without a doubt, just because of its actions with dopamine and its actions with coffee and stuff like that. Like I noticed like when I take Theacrine, I can just remember things so much quicker, and I'm a lot more sharp, and I'm a lot more just focused and in the moment. Like I can study and I'll be a lot more like articulate, and I'll be easier able to remember what I am writing down, the concepts, all of the ideas, that type of thing. And so I would recommend Theacrine. It's probably one of my big favorites. It's been safe in a lot of studies. They've done a lot of studies on it where they've shown that it is like completely safe. If you guys are a bit wary about like things like racetams that are like synthetic drugs, like Theacrine is a very good, safe, natural solution that has a lot of clinical studies under it that basically just increases your dopamine. And the interesting thing about it too is it doesn't build tolerance, which is very interesting. And it pairs very well with L-theanine as well. So it's one of those things where there's a few of them out there where like L-theanine, Theacrine, and dynamine, where they don't build tolerance just due to the alkaloid structure of them. So it can be something that will affect you the same way, the first day to the last day. And Theacrine for a lot of people can be, you know, an absolute really good nootropic. So I'll probably make a video about it soon just because it is good. And it is something that is very cheap as well. If you guys get the powder, it does taste a little bit like ass, except the effects of it are pretty good. And yeah, that would probably be like my fourth one. Are you, do you have any experience like coffee, Theacrine, anything like that?
No, what I do have experiments with or experience with is coffee and L-threonine. So
L-theanine?
that
Yeah.
one is really good. It's
Yeah.
like anything that makes your coffee drinking better, because I
Yeah.
probably drink a little too much caffeine. I'm a bougie European. I have my little shots of espresso. I probably have like two or
Yeah.
three a day.
Yeah.
I've really been cutting down though, and but anything that boosts your ability to drink coffee better is good in my books. But would you say were there any sort of negative side effects that you've heard of? Because that's not something that I'm overly familiar with.
So like for me, probably the only side effect was like it didn't. So like I've taken it a bit when I do take like ADHD medication, like some like Concerta, and I notice like when I take it with something like that, when I take it with another stimulant, I notice it doesn't make me like physically stimulated, but it makes me like more mentally stimulated, if that makes sense. Like my mind is more like racing and stuff. I wouldn't say it really impacts like my like body's anxiety. Like it's weird to explain. Uh, Besides that, man, honestly, no. Like I think there's like there are a few, you know, nootropics out there that, you know, they're like unicorns, right? Where there's like honestly no side effect, like not really any side effects. I would say Aniracetam is one too, where yeah, it honestly it's not addictive, you know, anything like that. It's like it affects you pretty good the same way. It builds tolerance very slowly. It's really safe. It's like I would say that's like one of them too, where you know, they're just unicorns. Because typically, like, you know, there's that term in nature that there's no such thing as a free lunch, which is true a lot of the time, except obviously there's nothing is true 100% of the time unless we're talking math. So there are some like nootropics out there that, yeah, have very, very little side effects, at least that I've noticed. I would say Theacrine and Aniracetam are like two of the big ones for that. Probably NMN too.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, I haven't really heard of anything too bad with any of those, including NMN. Like there is,
Yeah.
it really does seem to be like there, as you said, there isn't really a free lunch, but there sometimes can be if you look hard enough.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And I would say the last one that I would say is one of my favorite nootropics is Shilajit. I don't know if you've ever experimented with Shilajit, except basically it's kind of hard to describe it. Basically, it's like the residue from mountains that seeps out and people encapsulate it and they take it as a supplement. And it's very good for its effects because it increases testosterone and it increases GABA as well. And it affects acetylcholine a bit too. I would say Shilajit is probably like the best thing that could mimic the effects of drinking in a natural way because it increases GABA so much that I notice when I take it and I go out, it's just easier to vibe with people and I can like, I'm more in a chill mood and I'm more able to like tell stories and just be relaxed and be in the moment. And because it increases testosterone too, you know, it makes it easier, like social anxiety is less, you know, I find like if you ever get interested in energy work, which I'm honestly I'm not that into, but a lot of people that are interested in energy work, like swear by Shilajit because it's one of those things that just, it makes you a lot more present in your body and a lot more present to the moment and stuff. And I would notice that, combining Shilajit with something like coenzyme Q10, because they work very synergistically where they work on the mitochondria system, that it's like, it's actually like a pretty strong stimulant that makes you very mentally sharp. So I would say that like the times that I have gone out in this pandemic and stuff, socially distanced, of course, like I've taken like Shilajit and stuff, and I've noticed that, yeah, it's just a lot easier to vibe. It's a lot easier to tell stories, laugh. I'm a lot more centered and grounded, like as a man, which I know sounds like pretty cheesy and stuff. So I'd say Shilajit is probably one of my favorites. It's has a lot of benefits. Obviously, like any guy, it's always good to increase testosterone for a bit. I'd say Shilajit, it does work in a similar way to alcohol because it does affect GABA, but that's probably the only similarity because it does actually make you more sharp as well. And you don't get like a hangover or anything like that from it. And it is like a multitude of effects. It's pretty safe. You got to be careful with Shilajit, which ones you do get, just because, there can be some like bad brands out there. So I'd recommend Nootropics Depot if you guys are interested in it. And I would say Shilajit is a really good one to swear by too. Take it with coenzyme Q10, and you can just go out, just chill and be a good old social human being and just vibe with people. That's what I personally noticed with it. I really like it.
Yeah, I mean, why drink when you can take supplements, right?
Honestly, yeah.
Yeah, that's been my big philosophy. But anything that really makes you more social, I always perk up for, just because it can be a struggle for a lot of people, especially at first, especially like right after the little sniffles that are going on right now. I know a lot of people are probably going to be looking for just a lot of social lubricants, because it's just such a different vibe going from like your house to out there. So 100%. This is definitely one that, if the sniffles is over and you guys are allowed to go out, this could potentially be a really good one to check out. I know I've actually heard of a lot of good things about it, and this is actually one that is on my list of things to try out, but that list is very long, and so there's only so many supplements you can try out at any given time. So, but yeah, I think that was your list. Thank you so much for sharing. And guys, if you like this, if you liked his really analytical, really, really good breakdowns of his supplements, definitely do go check out his channel. I'm subscribed. I watch his videos. It's really, he really does go into the nitty-gritty science of it. He's very knowledgeable, and he's kind of like a no BS. If something doesn't work, he doesn't try it out. He doesn't talk about it. So definitely do go like, and do tell him that you came from this video, so that him and I might do another one of these collabs. Yeah, thank you so much. And if you have any closing words.
Yeah, I absolutely, just like what he was saying, he was super kind to, accept this collab and stuff like that. Seems like a super dope human being. And if you guys are interested in anything like around nootropics, where you're like, I guess like breaking into the science and the really good aspects of it, come check out my channel, the Nootropic Republic. I respond to all comments. So if you guys have any questions, I love to, help people and give advice about nootropics, supplements, all that type of jazz. So check it out. I look forward to seeing you there. And I think that's it today.